Okay, hello and welcome to Better Your Business Express, brought to you through the University Center partnership between Innovation Centers at Southern Utah University and Dixie State University. Better Your Business Express is a partnership and offers expert training at no cost to Southern Utah business owners and to help others in the region recover and excel in a post-pandemic economy. Today, we're excited to hear part two from Dr. Chris Brown, Associate Professor in Business Entrepreneurship at Dixie State University. Just as a few housekeeping items, this training is being recorded. Any audio and attachments will be shared online after this meeting as part of our training library. Please be sure to keep your audio muted unless you have a question or a comment, and be mindful that if your camera is on. Okay, Chris, we'll turn things over to you now. We'd love for you to, I know you had a chance to introduce yourself in the last session, but if you want to do a quick introduction and then dive back into this relevant topic.
Oh, yes, welcome. And I teach entrepreneurship and small business management here at Dixie State, and this program has grown a ton. I love it, and I do this as well, build websites for dental practices. I have my own firm where we do accounting for dentists, so I work with a lot of dental practices, but I also do consulting on the side, and so I have built websites in the kind of beauty industry, and I've built my own website for my own kind of brand. I've been building websites since like 2005, and the cool thing is I didn't learn this in school, so everything's kind of self-taught. Back in 2005 or so, it was more HTML, learning a bit of CSS. But the good news is I've had to learn very practical, simple ways to do this. And after having done it for now 15, 16 years, I figured out very streamlined ways that I think anyone can build a website. And it's a lot easier today than it was back then. So I want to go over basically the components of a website. I've tried to keep it pretty simple and very user-friendly. And what most people I think get wrong in building a website is I think it's all about them rather than putting on the lens or the glasses of the who's going to be reading the website, of the customer, prospective customer, and what they want to hear and what they want to see. So it's very compelling and very persuasive. And so I've broken it down here. And this comes from quite a bit of research, but there's a good book about story branding and how to create kind of a wireframe, which is just all the frame, the components of the website. And so story brand might be a resource if you wanted further knowledge on this. And the guy that's created the Story Brand Company has written quite a few books. So I want to go over this and give you some examples, and then hopefully start to connect a website so you can see how that's done kind of technically on the back end. Okay, so that's kind of the overview. Let me go through these sections, show you what they look like, show you what each section does, its purpose. I'll give you examples of some of these, and then I'll start to apply this so that you can see how to buy a domain name, just in case that's useful, how to connect that to a hosting account, how to install a WordPress theme. It's a very ambitious hour and a half here that we've got, so I'm hoping to get through as much as I can. If you have any questions, please feel free to pause or interrupt me, right, and ask some questions, and I'd love some feedback along the way. So let's go through. Last time we talked about headlines. So if you saw the previous video, we talked about kind of a headline, a supporting headline or subheadline, finding out who our target market is, really starting to learn what they're seeking, what questions they're asking, what their pain points are, recognizing people want our product to make themselves better. So it's really important, other than building the website, that we get the value proposition right and we understand what they care about. So let's go through some of these now. So with the header, last time we talked about just this kind of We call this above the fold, right? So when you go to a website, everything you see initially is your above the fold header. And we basically want it to be pretty simple and get a lot of stuff out of the way. So we've got our logo, typically a call to action. In this example, we've got 2 buttons that are calls to action. So schedule a call, schedule a call. And I generally like to have multiple calls to action throughout the whole page. We've got a big headline and then a smaller headline in the Latin there, and then an image. We talked about last time too, this kind of caveman test or grunt test. Like if some Neanderthal walks out of a cave and is like, what's this website about? And it's just super obvious within like split second, oh, this is dental, or this is health, or this is fitness, or food, or whatever it is. We just want it to be really obvious. So there's very little guesswork. So that's kind of our header formula. And we need to test this and make sure it converts and make sure the image is optimized, high res, things like that. So again, our formula is kind of header, subheader, or title, subtitle, visually friendly. If we have a video, great. Usually that's a click to play versus an annoying in-your-face video with sound on, stuff like that. And then a call to action, which is usually a button. The cool thing about online versus offline is we can test different colors. I remember learning when Google came up with their hypertext, the hyperlink blue color that you see when you search Google. I think they just tested thousands of different shades of blue to see which one people were most likely to click on. So that's a little more advanced than we'll get into in this video, but you can split test, you can have A/B test, you could have different home pages and see which one converts better. And that's kind of cool that we can do that in the online world. We can't just put up different signs in our offline world and pay a bunch of money, to see which one converts and gets people in the door. So cool that we can do that in online. Okay, so that's above the fold header. Any questions on this? Okay, we're good. So I'm going to keep rolling here. So some places to get high quality header images that are free. So obviously Google Images, you can click on that. That's just images.google.com. You can search for your image. Just make sure you are not violating any property things there, copyrights, anything there. So one way to make sure you're not doing that is to use Unsplash. There are lots of paid resources, Shutterstock and some others, Deposit Photos that you can use, but Unsplash has a lot of high-res free images. So it's kind of cool if I wanted to search for dental, for example. What's cool about this one is I can search by orientation as well. So like if I'm doing a header image, it's usually a rectangular shape. So I want to use landscape, and then it'll just show me landscape ones. In fact, I've used this Always Smile image before. So you can download that for free, as you see here. You can download it in different resolutions. I recommend you definitely get the large one or the original, whatever is the biggest, and go from there. It'll show you related images. You can give credit if you want, but that's kind of a cool feature there. And Unsplash is free, so that's nice. All right, let's go back here. So what we want to do now with our headline is basically this is our unique value proposition. And we're just going to fill in the blanks here. So we help, and then it's our target market, achieve or do something without something so they can. So off the top of my head, if we said we help, we help athletes, and I could be even more specific about athletes. So let me do soccer players. We help soccer players make their high school team, right? Without paying expensive trainers so they can feel great about themselves or whatever it is. And that's off the top of my head. We want to revise that and go through multiple iterations till we get our UVP right. And the beauty of the without is we want to show that it's without whatever they perceive as an obstacle, like without having to worry about what you eat all the time or counting calories or whatever it is. something that removes this friction that they probably perceive in their life, so that our solution is better than what's out there. So let me give you some examples of that, because I think this will be pretty useful. I've got a lot of other slides that I won't necessarily go through all of them. But when it comes to getting our UVP right, that's really important. So I wanted to show you some examples here, right here. Okay. So this is where we're thinking through in our unique value proposition. What will our product increase or decrease? So for example, we're going to help you increase your energy 2x in 10 days. And that's just better to have a UVP with that is very specific or quantitative. So instead of saying we're going to help you increase your energy, we're going to help you increase your energy or 2x your energy in 10 days. And I could even add to that, without having to, buy unhealthy energy drinks or something like that. Troy, you're asking, will we be able to get part 1? I was under the impression this class was duplicated. So this is originally, and Colette, you can weigh in, a 3-part class. The first week was recorded, and I'm combining kind of weeks 2 and 3 into this presentation. So I think, Colette, go ahead.
Yeah, so we can get you the recording for the first session that will even all this information out for you.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, so that should help, and that'll make this one easier. So yeah, try and quantify whatever the UVP is. And let me give you some more examples here. So in going from very, very broad to very specific, it's just going to speak to them better. So instead of saying something like, hey, want to have more love in your life? Here we get specific, and it's, we want to save your marriage. We want to help you find your soulmate. Something like that. And basically what we're saying is going from like a generalist to a specialist. A specialist, in every instance I can think of, makes more money. So I work with dentists. Dentists are very general, that's great. But if you go to an endodontist or an orthodontist or a pediatric dentist or an oral surgeon, they are very, very specific. And it's kind of cool because oral surgeons like pull wisdom teeth all day. They do other stuff too, but they make a ton of money just laser focusing on that. And so I want to laser focus into a niche. And typically, and Troy, this will be in the video from last time, typically we could say there are 3 niches that people go, or 3 broad categories of like value. So health, wealth, and relationships. And basically everything is kind of a subcategory of those. So if I go into the health niche, that could involve eating right, it could involve fitness, it could involve sports, but the more I niche down, the better. So for example, we started a company, and our company is St. George Soccer Skills. So we built a website for that. And the niche is not just sports, but soccer. Not just soccer, but we offer training by college athletes. So in order to be a trainer, you can't just be an overweight dad. You have to know soccer. You have to have played college soccer. So our trainers all played or currently play college soccer. That's kind of our niche, right? And then they go do the training with high school kids. So the more niche, the better, the more specific. Okay, let's go back here. And I know I'm going quite fast, but since it's video, people can pause and rewind and do whatever they need to there. So we talked about now above the fold formula. That is getting our header and subheader and that sort of thing right, or subtitle. Let's go through below the fold and let me show you what that kind of looks like here. So below the fold is everything below the header as you scroll down a website. So what we want to have now is some social proof. And we want to show that we have customers who have benefited from our product. It's one thing for us to say, hey, we're great. That's kind of ego. But if I have 3 other people saying this company changed my life, right? So we want some powerful social proof examples. And since I teach entrepreneurship, let me bring that side into this a little bit. Like, what do we do if we're starting a business and we don't have social proof? If we don't have actual customers? What I recommend is you go work for free for customers and you prove that you can not only solve your own problem, but solve that for someone else. And then you say, hey, if I can help you out with this, it's all going to be free. They're going to be skeptical, like, really, what's the catch? No, it's really going to be free. If I can help you at the end of this, I'd love a testimonial or a video example. And you put those towards the top of your website because we are persuaded by others. Lots of social psychology research backing this up. So we want to show this at the top of our website, right below the header. And let's look at some examples here. So roof raiser, you can kind of see cool, like a little animated header here. They've got shop now here, or talk to a real person. So multiple calls to action. And we know what they do pretty quickly. There's the word roof in the title. The easy and safe way to remove snow from your roof. So that's a pretty good unique value proposition. It's very obvious what they do. Here's kind of this is now their unique value proposition. So they are safe, fast, and easy. So as you come up with your UVP, I'm looking for 3 things that you offer with 3 little icons. So this is kind of our formula here. Let's see if we can find their social proof. So here's one. We've got a testimonial of this lady. Again, there's snow behind her. She's in the winter coat and has her social proof there, has her testimonial. We'll come back to this website here in a minute because it's got some other good stuff going on. Another social proof or testimonial there. Great. All right, let's go back to the slides. Let's see this Amish craftsman furniture. So the cool thing about this is this formula, this framework that I'm sharing here works for any industry. Again, they've got a call to action. They've got a title and a subtitle, custom Amish furniture or built furniture in Houston, Texas. That's very specific. I like it. What do they have here? So this pop-up here is their lead magnet. Okay, and this gets into a little bit advanced stuff here. But now they're trying to capture my name and my email address. All right, so if I click on that, I'm getting this free foolproof guide to designing your dream space. I can put in my name and email. And when I do that, they've got an automated email sequence, which means I'm going to get follow-up emails. So since it's unlikely that I'm going to come to this website cold and buy furniture from them unless I know something about them, that lead magnet is something we want to develop as well so that we can capture their name and email. So then now they are on my list. I've built a list of customers and prospective customers. I can email them. I can give them special offers. I can educate them more, that sort of thing. Okay, so they've got that. Here's good social proof or authority right here that they're leveraging. Here's their value prop. So forever furniture, American made, custom built. And let's see if we can find some testimonials. So there we go. Okay, so that's a crucial part of the website we want to get right because now they can see, oh, where are you going there? Now they can see other people love us and not just we think we're great. So questions on this part of it? Okay.
Really quick question, Chris. What other suggestions do you have for lead magnets? I mean, they had a decorating guide, but could you give us some other examples for lead magnets?
Yeah, so typically it can be a lot of things. It can be a free PDF. That's pretty easy. So the PDF could be, here's how we took a client from A to Z, or from revenue of X to revenue of Y. Here's and typically that's 3 to 5 pages. It could be, hey, I've interviewed 20 experts on how to optimize your finances. Here are the 10 undiscovered secrets that I want to share with you, right? And they get their name and email. In exchange for that, it could be unlock a 5-part video series. So one of the ones we're developing, for example, for St. George Soccer Skills is here's how to get 1,000 touches a day on the ball in 10 minutes. And that's specific, it's free. And we call it a lead magnet. The other way to think about it is to get people to go up our value ladder. So you think of a ladder going up, up, up. I want to get them something for free because I want to deliver a lot of value and I want them to trust me. And so it's not meant to be some gimmicky ploy to, deceive them. We're trying to build trust. So in exchange for your email, you're going to get a 1,000 touch a day video. And again, like this is a video that we legit have a nice quality, high quality camera. It's with one of our trainers, has good audio. It's meant to be really well done, not junky, or else they're not gonna, want to spend money. But as we get them into the value ladder, so now they're getting something for free. And again, this works for any business, right? Offline or online. So when I work with dental practices, our value ladder, our free lead magnet is free whitening, right? For every new patient, you get free whitening. Now that actually has a cost to us. The beauty of the online world is the PDF, once I've created it, is no cost really, right? Even the video, once I've created the video, it's just like hosting the video, it's nothing. But free whitening has a cost. And so what I want to make sure I do is convert them to the next stage of my value ladder, right? And that becomes a paid product or an upsell or something. So the free whitening is, well, you got to get a cleaning exam and x-rays and dental, they pay for that, they get the free whitening. So we make some money. Now, in the online world, I want to make sure my lead magnet converts because I could create a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad, and whatever that lead magnet is, that's going to get them to click and they're going to get something for free. But I'm going to spend money on that ad, so I've got to make up that money somehow. So I've got to make sure that my lead magnet converts them or some percentage of those customers to buy my actual product. So for example, if Amish Craftsman Furniture, if I'm searching for like Amish furniture, Houston, Texas on Google, and they pop up with their ad and it says, hey, download our free guide to Amish furniture or whatever, I click on that, but I never purchase from them, then they're just spending a lot of money on ads without getting any ROI, right? Any return on investment. So some percentage of people are going to click on that and then they're going to buy furniture, at least over time, from them. And that's how they're going to make up that money, obviously, from their ads.
So I got a question, Chris.
Yeah, please.
So what I'm struggling with, I mean, all this is good and everything, is I am getting no traffic at all. And, I have a Weebly website and, I talked to one guy who was going to do all this SEO work and, charge me like $500 for two websites a month. And then after like almost 3 weeks, there was nothing going on. I didn't feel like the traffic was even changed. And so I just ended it. But yeah, I mean, this is good here, but how does it really, I mean, I know once you get, I'm having a problem getting traffic there, I think I could keep them there with this information, but it's getting them there. Maybe you cover that in the first.
Well, yeah, it's an ambitious 4.5 hours of content, basically, and now 3. So traffic is a whole nother topic and super relevant. I guess I would say, so what is your website? What's your business?
I sell zipline braking systems.
Okay.
And then I'm also an expert witness in the zipline industry. And so it seems like I get a lot of traffic there. If you type in, zipline expert witness, you can usually find me. But if you type in zipline braking systems or zipline passive braking trolleys, I mean, you might find me, but So
yeah, so we did cover it a little bit in the last video. The
Okay.
way I would talk about this or think about this, so one on the SEO front, let me address that. SEO is a very tricky game and it can be very, very expensive. And it's another reason why the more niche, the better. So like Zipline Expert Witness, if people are searching for that, I'm guessing they really know what they're doing, because that means nothing to me. So someone's really got to be like, actively searching for that, which is great. And I'm guessing there aren't a lot of websites ranking for that. Meaning the more specific and niche, the better, the more longer tail those keyword phrases are, the better. So like we rank really high for St. George soccer training because not everyone's searching for St. George. If we were just trying to rank for soccer training in the whole US, like forget about it. And I'm not even going to worry about SEO for that. I'm going to worry about optimizing ads for that. But here's the way I would think about it if I were you. And let me go back to somewhere else in my slides so you can kind of see this. All right, so we call this the Dream 100. Okay, so, and I don't think this was covered in the last video. So I would think about this in terms of you're trying to fish and you want to find out where the fish are. And the lead magnet is like our bait, right? It's our hook, and we want to see if that converts. But if it's not converting, it could be that the lead magnet's not great or the bait's not great, or it could be that we're in the wrong spot, right? We're not where the fish are, our customers are. And so I want you to figure out where they're already kind of congregating and then target those people who are key influencers in the industry. So we talk about like the Dream 100. So imagine there's some podcast on, and again, I'm making stuff up because I don't know this area, Zipline Expert Witnesses. If there's some guy who has a podcast and already has 3,000 people listening, then your goal is to target that guy to be able to get on his podcast or something, if that makes sense.
Yeah, right now I have a competitor, Headrest Technologies, and they seem to have just rose to the top in the last 10 years.
Okay. Yeah, and so you can reverse engineer kind of what they've done. So you can go to similarweb.com, I think is the site, and you can kind of look up what they're doing. And I think that's the site too, where you can see any ads they've placed, what those ads are, where those ads are. I don't know if you can see ad spend, but if they've been doing something for 3 years and spending money on ads, you can kind of look at the funnel they've created. So a funnel, right, is like I attract the lead and then they go through this email sequence or whatever these series of steps are to try and get them to convert to become a customer. If you can look at what they've done and kind of copy it and tweak it a bit, I would do that, and obviously make it your own and customize it. But
right,
for the most part, find someone who's successful and copy it. Kind of here's this framework. So the goal isn't to drive cold traffic here. The goal is to find where people already are and meet them where they are with a good hook or a good lead magnet. So top 10 websites they visit, what are those keywords? And you can do this in Google AdWords. Google has a keyword tool that you can search for. So if you search Google keyword tool, you'll find it. And you can see what people are currently searching for. In fact, you can put in your competitor's website and see what those keywords are. You can search for like Zipline Witness, maybe forum, Zipline Witness Reddit, message board, find out what they're searching for there. What are their Facebook groups, Facebook influencers, Instagram influencers, podcasts, main blogs, YouTube channels. So it sounds like a lot. But if you go through just these questions alone and try and fill this in and reach those people, then you're right. If I wanted to get started in Zipline Expert Witness stuff, which again, I don't even know what that means, I would go to you, Troy, and I would be like, hey, who do you know that's already doing this? Because I think I have a good product, maybe, or something, right? I try and find someone who already knows these people.
Right. Good information.
Yeah, and there's a good book on this too called Traffic Secrets by Russell Brunson. So check out Traffic Secrets, or basically anything by Russell Brunson's just excellent, excellent material. And that would be pretty helpful there. And I would love to just, I would love, by the way, Troy, to just use you as like, go down the, just look at your website and analyze it. Like that's very tempting, but I think Colette as well will want me to kind of give an overview for everyone, since this is being recorded for later viewing.
Oh, I'd love it.
Yeah, if we have some time at the end, if we have some excess time at the end, we could absolutely do that. Because if you don't mind, Troy, because it's a good case study for other business owners, particularly business owners that have something, your business is really specific. And so that's a beauty and a curse, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, I looked at traffic just yesterday. It was like 1 in a week. And I'm just like, what do I got to do?
Yeah, and that might be you visiting the site. Like,
Exactly. I never thought of that.
Yeah. So that's a great idea. And Colette, so I'm going to go through the rest of kind of the framework for the site so everyone has it. And then I can either show how you connect WordPress to hosting, to, buy the domain, connect to the hosting, install a theme. I can do that. Or we can spend some time on Troy's, and I'm fine either way, because if I go the WordPress route, then, if someone's using Squarespace or Wix, like it doesn't really apply. And so I recommend WordPress, but it gets into very technical specific stuff that honestly they could Google and find on their own. So, or we could look at Troy's and kind of analyze it from a branding, converting traffic perspective. So.
And I had a question too, before you move on from the lead magnet. So could you tell us really quickly so someone clicks on your lead magnet, they want to get your free PDF guide. And then which companies do you use to send those out automatically and automate that, so you're not having to individually fulfill requests?
Yeah, good question. And there are a lot of these. These are called autoresponders or email campaigns. Autoresponders is the most common. And so what I've done is, if you want later to go to chrisrbrown.com/resources, this website, by the way, is kind of a new development for me, so it's not fully finished on the front end, but the /resources here, I've got recommendations for hosting. So I'll get to your question here, but just so you know the page, it's got hosting resource. I recommend WordPress engine. It's not the cheapest, but I've tried the cheapest for a while and it just kept having trouble, and it ended up taking more of my time and feeling like it was more expensive in the end. So I use them, lightning fast, very easy to use. Support's really good. It comes with a free SSL certificate, which is that little lock here that you see up at the top, which is necessary in my opinion. And then GoDaddy, there's Namecheap. There's a ton for buying domains, but I use GoDaddy just for buying domains because it's simple and easy. And then MailChimp is the one that you're asking about. I use MailChimp for email campaigns. It has a free up to, 1,000 or something, 1,000 subscribers. And so it's pretty easy to use. It's very inexpensive. I think I pay $10 to $15 a month for the version we have. And that's where you can set up your autoresponder campaigns. So for example, my first email is when someone puts in their name and email, this email automatically goes out immediately. It sends them that PDF and whatever I type into the email. The cool thing about that, right, is I type the email, I attach the PDF, and I do that one time. And now every time someone subscribes, they automatically get that email. And the other thing I recommend, Troy, is any competitor that you have, sign up for all their stuff, all their free stuff anyway. and see what they're doing, how they're marketing, what their copy looks like. So find out what's working or not. So then I can set up email number 2 and say, hey, email number 2 goes out 2 days later, right? And in general, I would say have a 7-part email sequence. And again, we just don't have time to go through all of that. But each one is meant to be very specific in terms of what they should cover and when. But typically those are better because stories, humans like stories, you like social proof. We can apply some urgency or scarcity to that, different like persuasion tactics, but this is how we keep in touch with people as well. So in addition to setting up the automated email sequence that just goes out in a 7-part series, like clockwork, anytime someone puts in their email, I can also send like a blast, meaning I can go to all of the people in MailChimp and just send a one-time, hey, check this out, we're doing this Zoom call, sign up here. So MailChimp's pretty good and pretty intuitive, lots of user like videos and resources you can use there. And then the final one here, just so you can have it, is this is where I go to buy WordPress themes. So it's got tons of, probably hundreds or thousands of WordPress themes, and you can kind of look at them by number of sales, by most popular, most downloaded, that sort of thing. And they're like $50 to $100, but they make life a lot easier rather than figuring out something from scratch, and they're paid for, so I don't have to worry about other people's links if I use a free WordPress theme and so on. Does that answer your question though, Colette?
Yes, that kind of helps build the sequence from start to finish.
Yeah.
Because it would be nice if when you used a website template that it just included all of these things and it just was automated and that would just make life great, but it's not the case, is it?
No, it's a little more complicated, but it's come a long way. There are other email autoresponders, by the way. ConvertKit is a big one. Aweber is a pretty big one. There are more advanced ones that are more like a customer relationship management software, CRM, like ActiveCampaign. There's Infusionsoft. There's ClickFunnels, which is Russell Brunson's, who I mentioned before. And again, I know I'm throwing out a lot, but since it's video, people can look these up and go back to them if they want. So yeah, lots of resources. I don't want it to be overwhelming. So that's why I recommend those if you just want to kind of use what I've done. Okay, any other questions before we keep going? Okay, cool. So this is, again, our social proof success story 1, 2, and 3. Next, we're going to use what we call the authority amplifier. So we're going to like set the stakes here, whatever. So we want to show empathy and that we understand their problem and how critical it is to solve their problem. So here's a pretty good one. Again, just a totally different area, accountingcomplete.com. And again, we'll look at their header first and see what their above the fold looks like. You can kind of see the formula for all of these. So they got kind of a lot going on up here. The menu is in on two levels. I think they could probably remove a lot of that or just have it pop up as you scroll down, which interestingly, theirs goes away as you scroll down. But it'd be probably better if they remove some of this stuff, in my opinion. And maybe their header could be better. Actually, here we get what they do, small business accounting and bookkeeping. Great. They've got kind of the 3 parts here of their value proposition. And here's where they get to what we're talking about now, this authority amplifier kind of thing. You shouldn't have to choose between chaotic books and a growing business. And they're trying to show their empathy that they understand the problem, right? So as a business owner, you wear many hats. You need to have sound books, but doing your own accounting often steals valuable time and energy that you could be investing in growing your business. It doesn't have to be that way. So here's where we really succinctly articulate the problem and show that we get it. It's even better if you can say, we've been there, or here was our customer who's been there, like here was their problem. You could have videos that show this, you could have text, you could have both, something like that. So that's kind of that side of it. Okay, so that's kind of the next part of the website there as we scroll down. The value proposition, which we've seen, is some of them have put it towards the top, but basically, if we were to follow this framework, we've got some social proof, some testimonials up top. Hey, we get this. This problem is huge. And again, we don't want to be superficially going over the problem. So the more specific and concrete the problem, the better. So in my entrepreneurship class, the way we talk about this is we want to choose one individual person and say, kind of like, meet Sarah, here's Sarah's problem. And instead of saying, hey, lots of people have this problem, that's just too big, and we don't often care about when it's too big and lots of people, but when it's one specific person, that just makes it a little more concrete, specific, and it becomes a good story. But then our value prop becomes, here are the three things or three benefits that we offer. And again, these are not attributes or technical specifications usually, but they are benefits. And so for example, if I were buying a car and I'm talking to some engineer and he's like, yes, the airbag releases in X amount of time. It's made of these materials, all this construction, technical specs stuff. I don't care. All I care about the airbag is that it saves my family's life 100% of the time if we get in a wreck, right? So we want to speak in terms of benefits, not necessarily attributes there. So that's the value proposition section. The guide section is, well, why are we credible, right? What experience do we have? What makes us an authority to be able to do this? So this is where you could say, we've got 20 years of experiences. We're going to use a little bit of ego maybe, or just authority to build trust. And so we've been on this journey, right? We've climbed the mountain. We've helped you get from point A to, or helped others from point A to point D. We can do that for you, right? So this is where we want to show that, why we're the guide to get them to be better, their better self. If you have pricing, I recommend 3 tiers. So we use this tactic a lot, but if you just offer someone one thing, they have to anchor it to something. So for example, just to give a practical example, in dental practices, we used to sell one toothbrush, one electric toothbrush for like $79. And if we want to increase the sales of that $79 toothbrush, we need to sell a toothbrush that is $179. Because the 79 by itself is like, oh, well, it's $0. I could spend $0 or 79, but the 79 compared to the 179, now the 79 looks cheap. And we use that all the time in social psychology or persuasion or marketing, and it's just anchoring, the anchoring technique or anchoring principle. So if I want, using the anchoring technique, I want you to get good at this because this applies to anything in life. If I want my kid to clean his room, I'm going to ask him maybe to clean the whole house first. He's going to be like, you're insane, Dad. Like, I'm not going to clean the whole house. Fine. Okay, let's just focus on your room because I've anchored it to something massive and now it's small. If I just say clean your room, he's like, I don't want to clean my room. You're crazy, Dad. And then I just get him to clean his closet kind of thing. So anchoring works well. If we have 3 packages, and again, lots of research on this. This is the good, better, best model. If you go into Walmart, they typically have the great value brand and so on. If you want people to buy the middle one, then you need something below and above that. And so it's nice to have those tiers. Again, though, this gets people up our value ladder, thinking in terms of we have a lead magnet that's free, and then we have a higher price product, and then a higher price product, and then a premium price product, if that applies to you, okay? And then how it works. I recommend breaking down whatever you do into a 3-step process. We can help you achieve this in 3 steps. It could be 5 steps or 7 steps, but 3 is pretty nice because we see 3 a lot. We see green, yellow, red. We see the 3 Stooges. We see whatever the ducks are in Disney, right? Daffy, whatever their names are, right? We see 3 a lot in 3-part play, good, better, best. Like, so 3 steps works really well. Break down whatever you do into 3 steps so the customer knows, here's how I get on that journey. You're my guide. Here's the 3-step process. Here's how I get there. And anything can be broken down into 3 steps. So I recommend that. And this can be, again, spread throughout your website, but the lead magnet towards the bottom works really well. If they've scrolled all the way down, here's how we capture their information. My recommendation is just name and email address rather than getting like their actual address and their phone number and a bunch of stuff, because that creates friction and they're not going to fill out the form. Name and email is pretty simple. And then just the footer. And so that's it. We've created now a 1-page site. They scroll down. We could have a menu at the top that links to each section of this site, but that's the website there. Okay.
And Chris, for
Yes, please.
a website like Troy's with capturing information, since it sounds like he's got B2B sales, would you suggest having a contact name, business name, and then the email? Or is there anything else? I guess I should say the question is, what would you do different for B2B sales?
For the lead magnet?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great question. So context definitely matters. Who your customers matters. The type of funnel you're creating matters. Meaning, if I'm going to sell a premium product, so we do accounting for dentists, right? But not for every dentist. And so maybe I want to qualify them. So maybe the stuff I'm asking for is more advanced because I want to weed out others. So it does depend. A lot of the forms I fill out that are high-end B2B, charging a lot of money, they do ask for phone number and other stuff because they want to contact me and reach out. But it depends on what part of the funnel they're in. So if it's an initial lead magnet, it's probably just name and email because I don't want to give them everything, and that becomes a stumbling block, and I don't know them. I don't trust them. I don't want everyone calling me. That feels spammy. So the funnel could be lead magnet, download our free guide to building websites. But then as we go along and it's like, they are sending me emails and it's like, hey, want to book a call with us? Put in your information here. And then it could be quite the form at that point. And the form that we use, by the way, is Typeform. So typeform.com, TYPE form.com, which doesn't ask for all that information up front. But it asks for name, and then as you click through, it just goes to the next section and the next section, because that's easier and less intimidating than all of it at once. So it's a great question, Colette. As we get them through the funnel and I weed people out who are just window shopper type people, then maybe I do ask for even their revenue, or if I'm talking to a dentist, how many offices do you have, or how many treatment rooms do you have, or I could qualify them in any number of ways. But I don't want to do that up front initially, is my thought. Yeah.
That makes sense, because it's always tricky. Like you said, you don't want to scare people off. But like you said, if you can just at least get the initial information, then build on that later,
Yeah.
that makes a lot more sense. Thank you.
Yeah, and I could even pull it as like a scarcity tactic almost. Like, hey, for example, my company, we don't work with every dentist, like I said. So I could say, hey, we're only accepting 10 new dentists this year. See if you qualify. And then I could have a pretty advanced form. Like, do you think you know everything and your ego gets in the way? Like, yes, no. And I don't know, whatever it is, we could weed people out there. So yeah. Yeah. Troy, what questions do you have?
I mean, the big thing is you've kind of answered a lot of them, with being able to go in and find these keywords and then reverse engineering them. I guess my thing is, it'd be nice to just see what you think of my website, because I've taken a lot in, I've written a lot of notes, and I have to go back through them and look at my website afterwards, maybe play this video while I'm doing that. But, for me, it would probably be almost better to find somebody like yourself to do it for me, because I'm busy enough as an expert witness. I just don't know if I have time to really market these new products. And I developed the new products because of all the accidents that were happening in the industry. And there was a need for, a handheld passive braking trolley and a barrel shaped spring system that, instead of a, normal compression spring, where these collapse within themselves, not requiring a huge long platform if you've ever been ziplining.
Okay, cool. Yes. So the problem is so tell me if I'm right. Existing zip lines, or the majority of zip lines, have an inherent flaw or problem which can lead to serious injury or death.
Very true. Very
Okay.
true.
What percentage or how many injuries / deaths are there from these? Do you know?
Yeah, so in a conference that I went to, because I'm very active in developing the standards. So I'm with ASTM and ACCT, and I was on the PRCA board. And so at this past ACT conference, 50%, this was provided by 2 insurance carriers, 50% of all zipline accidents are brake related, meaning either the guide didn't provide enough brake, didn't set the brake, reset it, or there was just inadequate brake. And basically it's the whole design of a zip line is flawed. These designers go out, they think if they can put a little belly in the zip line, then people will slow down. Well, they don't figure in the momentum is a different characteristic. They all think that heavy riders are faster. Or heavy, it's like the bowling ball and the golf ball. Which one's going to fall fast? Oh, definitely the bowling ball. They drop at the same time. The difference is the momentum that bowling ball creates to put a dent in their wood compared to the golf ball. So it's the momentum that carries them up. And so almost always it's the heavier rider that got injured,
Gotcha. Yes, cool. So this is great information, and you understand the problem really well. You have some data. You're an authority and an expert in the industry based on your qualifications or whatever. Okay, before I go to your website, who is your customer?
There's 300-400 zip lines just in the US that I know of. I use Robertson Harness as a distributor for me, and they've got a great website and a great rapport. I'm just kind of getting back into the industry after I built the Park City Mountain Resort zip line in 2002. I kind of walked away from it because I was following the money with a different business I was doing. But then I ended up going back to school, getting my engineering degree, and now my expert witness work is so, keeping me busy. I just don't have time to push these products. And they're needed. They are needed, and I can explain all day long, and I do have some YouTube channels but to kind of explain everything. But so, my competitors are like Headrest Technologies. They have a zip stop, but they, sent out a white paper in 2017 that basically said springs are the go-to. They're the best standalone brake system out there. And that's what I built in 2002. So it's just, I've developed a new product that collapses within itself, because a lot of zip lines are tours where you're going through trees or you're going from one zip line to another. Kind of like at Sundance, where that lady got killed up there. I was the expert on that one. I've been on about half a dozen expert cases in Utah alone. But
So
yeah.
if I own a zip line, and it has these flaws in it or whatever, it's an inferior version to yours, how much does it cost me to switch?
I could provide them with passive braking trolleys and springs for, a couple $1,000s. I think I offered $3,000, and, just one of Headrest Technologies zip stops is $5,000.
Okay, so that seems fairly compelling to me.
Yeah.
If I own a zip line with the inferior version, and let's say it's whatever you consider to be fairly heavy use. So I have a lot of demand. I have a lot of people using it. I don't know. I don't even know what that looks like. How many people that would be, but let's say
It's about 350 a day.
perfect. So if I have 350 a day, out of those 350 on average, how many would get hurt?
I think the ratio, last time I checked, it was like between 4 and 6 for every 100,000 is what the insurance carriers were providing. And so, but it's
Okay.
kind of like you pay me now, you pay me later type thing. You know, you remember the old commercial STP, commercial back in the 70s, you either use my product now or you pay me that. And I told my wife, I said, oh, you don't want to do that.
Yeah. So I mean, if it's 350 a day or so, that seems like that's 4 to 6 per year at least.
Yeah,
If it's 4 per 100,000, right?
yeah,
So 3 times, even 300 times 365. I know they might not be open every day of
Right.
the year, but roughly that's 4 per year. I just want to make this as compelling as I can and quantify it
that makes sense.
to the prospective customer. So Colette, any other questions we should ask him before we kind of analyze his website?
I think what I'm getting out of the conversation really is that for individuals like Troy, the business owner, you don't have to be an expert at web design and you don't have to do the actual hands-on work. However, this is super important. So as you alluded to earlier, Troy, so you understand when you're talking to a web designer or someone who's helping with SEO, so you know what you're getting and you know how to guide them. And then the second thing that I'm getting from the conversation is that it's really important for our business owners to provide excellent content, whether they're updating their website or not, that this formula that you've given us, Chris, by building the value proposition and making sure that you have your packages and pricing and that you have your lead magnets, all of these pieces. And not to mention, if you don't have a nice header, no one's going to go beyond the header at all. And so again, whether as the business owner is actually doing the updates on the website or if they are hiring someone, it's really up to the business owner to be up to date on the language and the content so they can guide the process and have a successful website.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's why I spent, especially in the first video, just more time on we got to get the value proposition right, understand our target market really well. Or else what you have, this is why I hope that I provide some value or else what you have is someone who knows how to do web design, but is not a marketer.
Yeah.
Or not a copywriter or doesn't understand your business. And then you become a generic template like anything else.
And we see that a lot through the Business Resource Center. Businesses who are not happy with their website because it's been developed by a web designer who's looking at functionality and not necessarily, like Chris said, the content. It's rare to find someone who can actually create both. So again, just know what you're getting into with a web designer versus a content designer.
Yeah.
Good
point. So let's have a look at your website. Does that work, Colette?
Yeah, that's great.
I looked it up before. Remind me the link though.
Ziplinebreakingsystems.com.
Is it not Zipline Doctors?
Well, I have that one too.
That's the one I looked at.
That's the one that most attorneys go to find an expert witness.
And I can go to the other one here. Okay, let's go to the other one. So Zipline Braking Systems.
Yeah.
There Braking like this?
Exactly.
Okay.
A lot of similarities.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me what you think of the header.
Yeah, those are my patents.
Okay.
And so, you know, like I said, I don't even know how to change that now. I had a young lady who helped me with the design from SUU or not SUU, but Dixie. And now she was back east, and then she come up with this. I thought it looked cool, and so yeah, I could definitely use whatever insight you have on, you know, creating something that, you know, that is, you know, a better way to do it, because all I'm doing is just kind of trying to explain the differences between barrel springs and compression springs and why these are better, and then I try to demonstrate, you know, with videos in my back. Believe it or not, I set up a zip line in my backyard and did a bunch of videos last summer with COVID. So
And are you here? It looks like you're in St. George.
yeah.
Okay. So the danger of being an expert like you are is you how you're so in it, you're like a fish in water, where it's like, what's the fish is like, what do you mean what's water? Because they're like swimming in it all day. And the good thing about you talking to someone like me who is not an expert in this or anyone else is they hopefully will ask questions until they really understand it. And so you need to get to the point where you can explain it in like 7 words to anyone. Maybe not 7
Right.
words, but like maybe 2 sentences though, or 1 sentence, which is your UVP. And so that is making it conceptually understandable to anyone. I remember the story of this attorney, famous, well-educated lady attorney. And she said before she had a really big case, she would go present her side of it to 5-year-olds. Because she said, if I can present it, if I can really understand it and simplify all this complex stuff so that a 5-year-old gets it, I know I'm on the right track. And it's not to dumb it down. It's to really get to the heart of what it is you do.
Okay.
So Colette, maybe, and I'll weigh in on it as well. What's your thoughts? What do you get from looking at the header?
So, you know, if I own a zipline company and maybe I'm a newer small zipline company, I can just see that it talks about those zipline braking system, and I can see that there's a cart. So I'm assuming that there's a place or that you can buy from the website. However, you know, yeah, the first thing, because we read from left to right. So the first thing I see is you and all the certificates, and which doesn't quite correlate with the purchase of the braking system for me. So what I would probably want to see as a consumer would be, you know, someone ziplining, someone having fun, someone, or maybe towards the end where they are braking and coming into that second station and slowing down. It could be a motion graphic or something. And again, really focusing on just the sale. And this is, you know, what sets you apart? Are you the superior braking system, or are you different than all the rest? Or, you know, again, what is that headline that's grabbing me on above the fold, if you will? I've learned some language.
Yeah.
Above the fold, that is telling me that this is where you buy and this is a superior braking system.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've got my YouTube videos are really, you know, good, and you know, you can play them and they demonstrate how easy everything is, and that makes sense to maybe move, because I have a YouTube video that has like the regular just freewheeling trolleys, the ones that are causing all the accidents,
Mhm.
flying into these springs, you know, and it could be like a 3-second or 10-second video that just, and then it shows the passive braking trolley that I had in my hand coming in real slow and just tapping the springs.
Mhm.
Um,
And maybe you lead with the heading that says accident-free braking system.
yeah, that's a good one.
And it's hard because, you know, just like Chris said, you're an expert and you're dealing with situations where people have been injured or killed on zip lines. And so we don't want to jump to doom and gloom because we
Exactly.
really want to focus on the product, not the sadness. For your personal page as the expert witness, that's another issue. You know, that's where you can get into death statistics and things like that. But I think for this, it's really just getting the focus back on the product itself.
Okay, that makes sense. Makes total sense.
Yeah, I like that headline. I would experiment. So what I would do before you tweak the website, I would pull up a slide like I've got here, and I would just kind of copy one of these formulas. But what I would do is, let's see here. Where'd it go? Right here. So I would pull up a slide, say I'm going to start a new slide, I'd make it blank, and basically find a header image and kind of put it here. And then I would create, so now we're kind of just wireframing what your above the fold header looks like. I would probably create a headline. So Colette, what was yours again?
Accident-free brake systems.
Yeah.
Or brake
Accident
systems.
free.
Yeah.
And I mean, what you could do is create multiple ones, take it to someone who knows nothing about this and say, this is from the first video, Troy, like the grunt test of like, what does this website do? And if they're like 20 seconds later, like they're gone, right? Like even 5 seconds later, people's attention spans for nothing. So they need to be within a second. Oh, you must sell zipline brakes or something with zip lines. Like it's got to be just crazy obvious. And then I would have whatever your subtitle is going to be. I don't know.
And maybe you talk about how the brake system provides a smooth ride. You know, it makes for a smooth ride overall, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That is, and it does. I mean, if you watch people ride the zip line at Park City, they just slowly go down and then they compress the springs. And if the trolley brake system failed, they have enough springs to stop somebody.
Yeah, I would just say, make sure this goes back to this UVP template. Like, I think it would be useful if you said, we help owners of zipline systems, right? Say, or avoid expensive lawsuits, right? It needs to be some value prop that just totally makes sense and is kind of quantifiable. So if you were pitching me and I own zip lines, it'd be like, if you said like 4 a year are suing me potentially, then I'm going to invest whatever. You said yours was what, $3,000, $2,000?
Yeah, I mean, for $3,000, you can pretty much, I mean, it'll be more, yeah, it just depends. Each zip line, if it's really steep, it's going to be higher. If it's, you know, if the speed is low, then it's going to be in the probably 10,000 for a real course, you know, that's running people. It's just kind of, there's a lot to it. If it was something like Park City, then it might be 30,000. But I mean, that's still less than most lawsuits. I mean,
And that's what I would say too, is be specific and say build to suit braking systems, make sure that you get that in there, that it's built, it's customized for each course.
Yep. Yeah.
So you might say customized braking systems, because again, the slope and the terrain that they're going through and things like that are all relevant.
Exactly. Yeah. How long it is, how steep it is.
And to me, Troy, this is like, I know someone watching this could be like, this is academic theory presentation with like a framework and whatever, but actually this is like super practical. So this is where the value proposition section to me totally matters, because you're going to help me hopefully avoid expensive lawsuits. It's a better, safer ride or something, like, right?
Exactly.
So whatever those three things are, now they're actually like tangible, quantifiable benefits to me. And it's not about you and your patents. That's great. I'm not minimizing that. There is a section of the website where we want it to be all about that, because then it's like, this guy has patents, like he's authority expert witness. I can trust this guy, but just not at the top, probably for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And then it's about the customer and what is in it for me, because that's what I care about. And it actually saves me money, because on the one hand, it's like, I don't want to spend $2,000-$3,000. On the other hand, it's, remember my anchoring. It's like, no, avoid the $100,000 lawsuit.
Yeah.
Or someone dying and then you just are out of business altogether or whatever.
Yeah.
This now is $2,000. That's all it costs, right? It's great.
I just looked at one. I mean, they had a $2 million policy and the out of pocket was $250,000.
Yeah. So now we're quantifying it. So I think that's great to try and use that. So, what I was going to say is look at your competition and see what is their unique value proposition. What are their three benefits? What are they saying? Because you don't have to come up with this from scratch. The trick is to look at all the competition. What are they doing? What's their funnel? What's their autoresponder sequence? But more importantly for now, what's their headline, subheadline or header, title, subtitle, that sort of thing? What's their call to action? Just like reverse engineer everything they're doing. But then I would do this on a slide before you do anything with the website. Put the image here, put your logo up top, and present this to a bunch of different people.
That's a good
ideally
idea.
Prospective customers, but anyone who's not would also be good, because they need to get it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want to do the doom and gloom like you were saying. That's probably, in fact, it's sad because believe it or not, some of the people that I went up against who had an accident have came back to me for answers, and so that's the whole point. If it takes a lawsuit to fix a problem, then, that's what I'm going to do. I mean, nobody wants to lose an arm, a loved one, a leg, and it happens.
And that's what you can even say is, don't let, essentially what you just said, don't let a lawsuit fix your problems with your zip line.
Yeah.
Let's get you squared away. And that's in some of your selling language too. But I think just keeping it simple, we always say in marketing, KISS, keep it simple, silly. And we, like Chris said, if you can get the very basics down that will attract people and then get them to scroll further down on your website, then you can go into some of those statistics and things like that. But really, I think, again, the focus should, in my opinion, should really be on the product. And I don't think you should go into, you don't need to go into grave detail, because again, just keeping it simple, kind of the engineering level information on the product, but more the benefits that it, the qualities, it slows at this rate, or, avoids a jerky ride, things like that, that are more practical day-to-day things that people will understand. And as far as the engineering, quite frankly, I think a lot of people don't care what's behind the engineering, just as long as it works and it works well. They want the results of the engineering. And so if you can focus on the results of the engineering, giving them a little tidbits of the engineering, like made with high quality steel, lifetime guarantee, or, whatever guarantees you give, made with high quality components, things like that. But they really just want the results of your amazing engineering.
Okay.
It's like my airbag example. I don't care, other than the only thing I really care about is it saves my family's life in an accident.
Yeah, for sure.
This is where too, remember we said at the top where you have success stories, because if you can have customers, especially like if I own a zip line and you have 3 videos of customers who are like, yeah, I've tried other zip lines, this is the smoothest glide or whatever, and I feel totally safe or something, like I'm kind of sold on that. I expect you to sell it to me because you're going to make money. But as a skeptical consumer nowadays, I'm going to believe some other person riding the ride that has no financial incentive to share that, really. So
Okay.
I think the website needs a lot of work, really. It needs a lot of work on this one.
Yeah.
Having said that, you have a lot of the content, it just needs to be repackaged.
Yeah.
So like if I were to redesign it, for example, like knowing nothing, you have a lot of the content, it's just making it prettier and putting it in sections.
Right.
So like,
right.
yeah, there's a cart, but there's really no way to buy now that I see.
Right. Right. And I had that option for about 8 or 9 months, which cost me, I don't know, $20 more a month with Weebly. And it was like wasted money. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll just have them call me. But in this day and age, nobody calls. You might get a text or something like that, but I've not had anybody call. So I probably need to get that cart back open.
And a question too is, when you design or when you sell to a company, do you have, basically, how do you help them place their order? Do you have to go out and physically do some type of assessment to determine the type of braking system that they need? Do you do that virtually? Do you do that in person, or do they just order what they think they need?
Generally, I can give them the parameters that they need to, either buy like a $100 speed gun and do some testing, or, if they wanted to hire me, which I don't even have on there, I could either come out, or I could do it virtually, just with GoPro or with Google Maps and Google Earth, and with some of their feedback on elevations. And because I do that with the expert witness cases, is they provide me all the documentation. I tell them what I need. I can evaluate speed from videos, etc. So. And
maybe that is what you offer, is a free assessment, a free retrofit assessment, or free braking assessment. And maybe you own a couple of those guns that you ship to them with a return label, or a return box, so they can ship it back, so you can get accurate speeds as people are coming in at different weights and things like that. So they do some of the hands on the ground things, but you take all the data and analyze it and say, okay, this is what I recommend, this type of, like you said, braking system with the different springs and things like that, based on their zipline setup.
And the amazing thing is I've sold more products out of this country. I just shipped, $20,000 worth of products to Australia. And then a couple of weeks ago, I had somebody contact me from Turkey who had seen my YouTube video and wanted me to price quote some stuff. But, our dollar is about 50 times what their dollar is, or whatever it is. So they couldn't afford it. But, yeah, it's like, I looked at my YouTube channel the other day and I've got more visits there than I have on any of my websites, you know.
What's your
And
YouTube channel?
yeah.
It's just Troy Richardson, I think is what it's called. Yeah, something like that. There you go.
And are you linking your online videos to your website?
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
good. And I would make sure that you share that you are sell internationally.
right. Well, and I'm finding out some stuff there. I'm not sure because I'm taking the patent bar. Well, I took the patent bar, but I'm probably going to have to take it again because only 50% of the engineers and scientists pass it. But I'm finding out some stuff there that shipping overseas, patents and stuff like that. There might be some things I need to start doing.
Mhm. My suggestion is that you talked to the folks at World Trade Center, Utah?
I haven't.
So I would go directly to World Trade Center, Utah, and they have some awesome business counselors, and their services are free, like the Business Resource Center. And they can help guide you through international sales and processes. That's all they do. And they're based out of they're connected with the Governor's Office of Economic Development and
Okay.
are very
and I know-
reputable.
I think that's how I found you guys because my cousin is one of the directors or something up there. Heidi, can't remember her married name, but yeah. So I think I got involved with somebody there, and all of a sudden they sent me to you guys.
Yeah, that's great. That's really
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, so, and two, I would definitely have every YouTube video in your description section here, have a link to your website, maybe have some
Oh, okay.
tags. There's some stuff
Yeah.
there.
Oh,
And
wow.
so you asked about traffic. Well, if you're getting traffic, if YouTube videos are working, we really need the website optimized to convert then. And maybe that is your funnel is like a call with you or free consultation, or I don't know, whatever that looks like, but we need the website converting better. And then you could just put out more YouTube videos, right?
Right.
Yeah. And
that's one
those
thing
then link to the site.
Yeah, what's one thing I offer all my, anybody that buys, I say, send me, 5 or 10 videos of your testing, all that, and I'll give you 5 or 10% off your next order. And so I'm kind of waiting to get a couple of those in because, like I said, all I have my backyard stuff. I mean, I'm able to generate 11 miles an hour per speed, but yeah, it's so much more realistic when you're out and, maybe I can
Yeah.
use some of my expert witness videos that'll people coming in really fast. I'll have to call them and say, hey, can I use this on my website?
Absolutely.
And I would say just one more resource you could use. Let's see. I think it's let's see what this is called here. There's a this Harvard Business Review article, The 30 Elements of Consumer Value. This, again, it sounds like maybe some academic theory Harvard thing, but it's here's their lead magnet. Oracle. So this article is really good because it's going through basically 30 different elements or levels of value, and any product or service we buy or consume or hire or use is probably one of these 30 elements because what we value over time is fairly stable. And we use different products or service to try and meet some of these values. So I've used this because then on that value proposition section of your website, that again looked like this, where we've got service 1, 2, and 3. This is now plugging in one of these things, probably. So you could say, for example, reduces the risk And you could say it in a different way, but that's the fundamental value, just like seatbelts do, or just like anything else. And then you could study other companies that deliver these value props in totally different industries and see what kind of copy or lingo they use and stuff like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So I think that's a simpler way, instead of you coming up with it off the top of your head, just pick and choose which of the 3 out of these 30 you think yours is, and then you're going to say it in your own way. And then your videos, also your YouTube videos, need to be optimized to touch on, here's the problem with existing stuff, and here, and each of your videos could touch on 1, 2, or 3 of those things from your value prop. Here's how we reduce risk. It's just hitting that over and over in different ways, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I think that could work well. Again, I think you have the components in terms of you have the elements that you need on the website, but it needs quite a bit of reorganization.
Okay.
And plugging it into this kind of framework. And again, if I were you, it takes a little bit of heavy lifting, but the heavy lifting is not on building the website. The heavy lifting is on all the images and getting the stories and getting the value prop right, and the copy, the content side of it. But I would do that using a slide and kind of wireframing it out like we did here before you build the website, especially before you take it to a website developer who doesn't know the content side.
Right.
And then tell them this
So
is
do you
what
limit words on slides on each page? Do you have like because I know that's one thing I've heard, that you really just, I mean, they're not going to read that, 40-page brief that you put on there or whatever, so.
Yeah, typically in the header, it's like a good billboard, 5 to 7 words per slide.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, so I think Jerry Seinfeld has this comment of, because some people have these rules of thumb, like 5 to 7 words per billboard. That's good. If you look at like a McDonald's billboard, they usually do it right. You look at a small business that doesn't know how to advertise, they'll have a ton of content because they think, I'm going to teach them everything on the billboard, but that's not the point of the billboard. Jerry Seinfeld has this comment like, people will listen to you for an hour if they're entertained, right? So meaning if the content's really compelling, people will read all the way to the bottom and scroll down. Like, so there's no like, the rule of thumb is great, 5 to 7 words, especially in the header. The goal of each section of the website is to get them to read the next section, and then the next section, and then the next. And so the main rule of thumb is that it just speaks to their problem, their pain point, and you show them how you have a compelling solution. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of this is just extra information that we don't need at all, probably.
Yeah, you could put it in manuals and stuff.
Yeah, and you could probably have your video towards the top, and something like this is almost a headline.
Yeah.
So zipline brake failures are over 50% of injuries, or you could even ask it in a question, right? Is your zipline going to lead to 50% injuries, or are you at risk of a lawsuit, or different things. So yeah, I think you have some content there that just needs to be repackaged.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Well, I think that you've provided us with some really great content today, Chris. We really appreciate it. And thank you, Troy, for letting us use your business as an example. It really helps to have a live example that we can work through. So thank you for providing that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
You bet. Yeah, thanks, Troy. I appreciate it. And here's my numbers, my cell number, my Dixie email. If you need anything or I can help anyone with anything, feel free to reach out. Thanks, Colette.
Yeah, thank you, Colette.
You're welcome. And Susie just dropped the evaluation here in the chat.
Okay.
If all of our viewers will take a minute to complete the evaluation form, that would be fantastic, and tell us how well Chris did and how we can improve.
Sounds
Thank
great.
you for attending this Better Your Business Express training. Like Colette said, please complete the evaluation form so that we know how we can do better in our training and any specific needs that you may have. Be sure to attend the final training when available on website design. And thank you to Dr. Chris Brown for presenting today. Have a wonderful day.